It's lit. There's a big band playing. It's beautiful. I believe it was at the Waldorf Astoria. And we're doing the scene, and I go, you really look beautiful tonight. She's like, all right, you don't have to act. Nobody's watching. And I look at her and I say, I'm not. You really look beautiful tonight. And she goes, oh. And she's like uncomfortable. And then I'm uncomfortable. And then we realize there's a little bit of a connection there. And Glenn Gordon Karen goes, and cut. She then turns and looks at the table where all the other actors are. Ileana Douglas, Kevin Dunn, Faith Prince. And she says to them, pointing to me, see? Like at that moment, I realized she's been telling these people that I'm a piece of dog shit, and she can't fucking believe I got the part. Like, she even told them so that when the scene was finished, she just looked at them and went, see? Like, see what I mean? How fucking terrible this all is? And Kevin Dunn is the nicest guy in the world. Faith Prince, Broadway royalty. She's not going to shit on anybody on a movie set. So everyone's just smiling and nodding, and I'm going, is this really happening? Jennifer Aniston was so fucking mean to me that on the weekend, I drove to New Jersey, to Verona, New Jersey, to my mom and dad's house. I put my head in my mother's lap, and I fucking cried. And my mom said, like, my mom thinks I'm like HIV positive, like something hard, literally like I've killed someone, I'm not kidding. Like, that's how bizarre it would be for me to drive from Manhattan into Jersey, show up, hug my mom. She sits on the couch. I lay down next to her like a baby, and I weep on her knees. And my mom goes, anything I can do, just tell me what it is. And I go, she's so mean. I'm crying like a fucking baby. And my mom goes, what? I go, I finally got a leading role, like a man, like a romantic leading man in a movie. I mean, I'm number 2 on the call sheet. That's impossible. And she's just so fucking mean. And my mom's patting my head like, it's okay. Though it's just a movie. I'm like, but it's a big movie. It's a big shot. Now, here's what's happening. Here's the B story. Glenn Gordon Karen is slowly but surely thinking he's made a terrible mistake hiring me, because many of you that have ever met me or known me and seen my stand-up or heard me on Jim Rome or on Opie and Anthony or on a Smodcast or out in public, at the time, if you think I'm crazy now, in 1995, I was a fucking maniac. I was an absolute mental patient, crazy person that never shut up, was always loud, could not ever leave a punchline on the floor. I always had to have something to say. Basically, why I got kicked out of every class and what made me great, I'll say it at the time, at stand-up comedy for that hour on stage, just that boom, bam, bam, that rapid-fire synapse, that nonstop crazy, where an hour where the audience goes, holy shit, that was the best show I've ever seen. I'm exhausted. Let's get the fuck out of here. That's how I acted all the time unless I was sleeping. So Glenn Gordon Karen is directing this movie. He's fought for me. He's told Fox Studios, if you don't hire him, I'm walking off the movie. You have to get another director. And in between takes, I'm juggling fucking oranges. I'm riding unicycles around. I'm dropping fine china in the Waldorf Astoria. I'm distracting the director of photography. I'm asking him to teach me how, every time he puts the light meter up to my face, I'm going, hey, I'm an absolute distraction. It's like having a chimp on a moped come through your scene. After in between every take, I am a one-man fucking wrecking band crew of just discontent, nothing mean, just bananas. And Glenn Gordon Karen is a guy that he's not a Cameron Crowe type director who's very hands-off, hey man, whatever. He's a guy that goes, what fucking take is it? Like he'll scream at people, and he'll admit it, I would hope.
And I think that also he was under enormous amount of pressure because he put his, neck out on the name on it, put his name on it. And at the time, then you started doing things that were counterproductive to his decision. It was bad enough that she was doing things counterproductive decision, but you were acting out in a way that made everybody look and say, see, it's now how he's doing.
When he says action, I'm killing it. But when he says cut, I am literally costing them money because the days are taking longer. I am literally late to set. I'm leaving to go talk to Teamsters out on the sidewalk in between takes 4 and 5. It's a problem. So Glenn Gordon Karen is slowly stewing and steaming, and I don't know at the time he is ready to fucking explode. One day, the smallest thing set him up. We're at the hotel and the ballroom. It's after the scene where she crushed my nuts and goes, see what I mean? Like I'm an asshole. And the lighting director, we did 3-4 takes, and he relights the entire room, and it takes like an hour. And I pull the guy aside, and I'm not breaking his balls, but I'd broken his balls every time I had spoken to him up until this moment. And that's the problem with being a comic that doesn't turn it off, is that when you eventually ask the girl out, she thinks you're kidding. And I say to the director of photography, what needs to be fixed? And he explains it to me like, these lights are out, this is darker than that. And I say, quite honestly, well, doesn't that make, if you change the lights and we've printed 4 takes, don't those 4 takes become irrelevant and non-usable because you're changing the lights? And before he can respond, Glenn Gordon Karen literally grabs me around my neck like a felon grabbing Barry Katz at Tao at 4 p.m. in Las Vegas. And he goes, come with me. He throws me into the men's room at this hotel. He slams the door shut. He picks the garbage can. You know those garbage cans that look like R2-D2, the silver ones? Mm-hmm. And he fucking throws it against the urinals like I'm in there with a crazy gorilla person. And then he puts it up against the door so nobody can come in. Like, this has only happened to me when I've immediately entered into a fist fight where my teeth were loose at the end of it. And he goes, I fought for you! And he's fucking screaming like an inch from my face like a crazy person. Now, little did I know, and I've told directors since, if you see me going off the rails, you got to tell me, Jay, shut up. You won't hurt my feelings. Just tell me, Jay, shut up. Don't let it build, because it will build, because I don't have the ability to censor myself and stop. I'm better at it these days. However, at this time, I was not. And Glenn Gordon Karen's the director that let me know to tell other directors in the future, if I'm talking, say, Jay, shut up, action. And I'll just go. You'll never surprise me. I'm ready to go at all times. That's the weird thing. We scream at each other in this bathroom for a good 10 minutes.
No, he says he yells, I fought for you. What are you screaming back at? What are you saying?
I'm saying, why the fuck are you screaming? What the fuck is your problem? I'm basically screaming, stop screaming. His assistant and script supervisor come in to tell him like some shot business. Like, literally, they come in to go, you know, on the over, you're going to have the camera cheated over. And he fucking karate kicks the door. And he's not a svelte guy. He's a larger man. And he fucking karate. And I swear to God, he's got white foam on the sides of his mouth. I've made him that upset. He fucking karate kicks the door and goes, get the fuck out. And he's holding me by my lapels. And I go, you got no right to talk to me this way. And he goes, I fucking fought for you. I put you in this movie. I put my reputation on the line. And you're making me look like a fucking asshole out there. Is it asking too much for you to fucking act like a person? Ah! Like, this guy is ready to enter a fight he will lose. That's how mad he is. He's ready to go up against...
And how did you handle it?
I go, first of all, I get real calm. And I go, get your fucking hands off me, because I will put your teeth down your throat. And he goes, all right, you're right. I should not have grabbed you. That was completely uncalled for. But you got to see where I'm coming from, man. And I go, I am so sorry that it's come to this. So immediately I go, like, I thought we were going to fight, and it was very uncomfortable and very bizarre. And I tell him, get your fucking hands off me. I will put your teeth down your throat. He lets go of me and says, I should not have put my hands on you. I apologize, but you got to understand the position you're putting me in. I fought for you. She didn't want you. They didn't want you. They're all sitting behind me at the monitors, and you are a nonstop fucking one-man disaster crew in between takes. Could you act like a fucking professional so that these people aren't daily reminding me that I made a mistake? Could you do that for me, please? And I say, I am so sorry. And I was. And you know me, Barry. If I say it, I mean it. And like the bottom fell out. Like the elevator just fell in my gut. Like, oh my God, I've been such a fool. And I remember everything I've done the whole movie to act like an asshole. And I'm like, just from this day forward, you're going to get the most professional guy. And I'm sorry. I cannot apologize enough. It ends with he and I hugging. Long. Realizing he dug a hole for us. I got in it, and I kept digging, and now we're all in it.
How many long hugs have you had in a bathroom with a man?
Not involving drugs or gay sex. That's probably the only one. We go back out onto set, and that's the thing with guys. Once you scream at each other and hug, the shit is over. Women, when I watch the reality shows, the Real Housewives, they always bring the shit up, and it just festers. It goes on in perpetuity forever. It's like a great investment. If you argue with a woman, it's like an investment that just keeps giving fucking interest down the line. Like 5 years go by, and you get a 5% little fucking nudge in the kitchen at Thanksgiving, and you know it's from that original fucking check you wrote way back in the day. We're done. Glenn Gordon, Karen, and me are now besties. We are best friends. I got my head held high, and I walk past Video Village, is what they call where everybody sits when they watch the monitors. And I sit down, and I do another take of dancing with Jennifer Aniston, and I don't say boo in between takes. Little do I know that Jennifer Aniston, halfway through production, has switched her hate from me to Glenn Gordon Karen. So as she's going, you see what I mean? You see what I mean? Like, that was the moment, as she's saying that, she begins to loathe and despise this man, Glenn Gordon Karen, the director. So, about 4 days go by.
But you know why she transferred her anger to Glenn Gordon Karen?
Because I stopped acting like an idiot. But
and because your performances, she realized, were at a high level.
Well, you also have to dislike someone. She just didn't like him, and they weren't seeing eye to eye. He was giving her directions. He gets flustered very easy. She was a superstar. He was not. And she begins to hate this fucking guy. So here's how revenge is a dish best served cold comes into play. 4 days later, we're doing that same fucking scene because you got to shoot people's feet when they dance. You got to shoot different couples that aren't even in it. You got to shoot the band. You got to shoot the people at the table. You got to shoot walking from the dance floor back to the table. You got to do that close up. You got to do that big. You got to do it wide. We sit down at the table after 4 days after Glenn Gordon, Karen, and I almost fist fought and then hugged. And she looks at me and she goes, "Can you fucking believe this guy? I mean, have you ever seen a director be more of a fucking asshole than him? I'm serious." And I had the sublime pleasure of looking this bitch in the face and going, "I think he's great." And she looked at me like, how? How can you think he's great? Are we on the same movie? But on that day, we were not on the same movie because we fucking bro-hugged that shit out. And it was over. Now he's my guy. He could have been directing fucking Howard the Duck, and I still would have went down the line with him and taken shots. He's my guy now. So for the rest of the month, she keeps looking at me desperately. Because Ileana Douglas is done. Now it's just scenes with just me and her in her apartment on that little soundstage that we first rehearsed at. We've come full circle. And after every take, but not every take, I don't want to exaggerate, after several takes, she would always come up to me and go, "What the fuck is he talking about?" And I would go, "He just wants to do it again, but he just wants it a little quicker." Like I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about, but I would make shit up just to fucking dig the knife in her chest a little more because of how mean she was to me.
Well, what's interesting, though, is when we saw her, the last time we saw her was at the Emmy Awards.
Yes.
And she came up to you. Now, you didn't come up to her. She came up to you and said, "Hi, Jay. How's it going? Good